Hey, just wanted to leave you with a quick reply to your question. You said, how do you pick yourself up after a bad night at work? And just from reading your message, I could think of a couple of things that might be helpful. Number one is stop comparing yourself to other entertainers. What really stood out to me in this message is that you started with, uh, I'll leave without making anything when other people are making money. When you are watching other entertainers, when you're focusing your energy or your time or your focus on what they're making or doing or not doing, what happens is you lose focus on why you're there in the first place, right? So, one of the best tools at the club can be to reduce your focus and concentrate on what it is that you want and what your specific goals are for being there, right? Your goals don't have to be those of anyone else at your club. So make sure that you've set those beforehand and that you're tracking and recording your information over time so you know whether you're getting there, whether you're some of the way there, or whether you really need to work on a different set of skills. Um, I think the best way to not have a shit night at work is just to stop having shit nights at work. And what that means is don't let the money that you make in a single night define you. Shifts come and go. It's a sales position, so you have to understand that there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows, but you can't let the lows define you. Specifically, when it comes to making income, it's so important to get back on the horse and get past that night, because if you're bringing that energy into your next shift, then you're really hurting your bottom line. Some tools that can help with that. One is the tracking stuff. I know I said it already, but again, when you put the numbers down, you make it more of a logical system, you make it more of a rational thing, and you remove the emotion and the frustration of smaller income nights. You want to make sure that those just feel like a point on the map, that they don't feel like your whole identity or your existence as an entertainer. Second tool is grateful fors, especially on slow nights. I think it's very important to write down the things that you are grateful for, experiences at the club that were positive, things that you have in your life like health, happiness, great connections, anything you can think of that goes on that list before you fall asleep that day. And that's important because it resets your mindset for the next time that you try. So you can remember that regardless of what happens on the floor, you are already succeeding, right? And that can make a massive difference in your confidence and your energy when you are at the club. Now, you said you try to be nice and approach customers. Now, that doesn't tell me a whole lot about what's going on in every interaction, but I think one of the biggest things you can do is to up your sales skills, right? It sounds right now like you feel like you're not entirely in control of what's going on at the club, and that really does come down to what you know and what you don't know. So taking an approach where you're surrounding yourself with information, education, and resources where people are talking about sales, where they're talking about how to get closes, where you're reading about negotiation, sales psychology, all this stuff that sounds really dry and boring can actually be really exciting when you're in a place where you are really struggling and you don't know why some people are getting wins and why they are getting losses. Now, that doesn't mean that every single interaction is going to be a win, but the goal is just to get your averages up. And when you're tracking, when you're doing those mindset tools, and when you're showing up and really being intentional in how you approach customers, and when you hear yes and when you hear no, making sure that you're sort of keeping tabs on that information and looking for ways to get to more yeses, that can really help with removing that emotion, right? So just stop having shit nights, right? Every night is awesome. Every night is amazing. Every night is an opportunity to bring in more income. So settle that in with yourself. Make sure that that is so drilled in that you are not having these big emotional reactions at the club. And the very last thing I want to leave you with is make sure that you're putting a little bit away, even and especially when you're having a rough time at the club. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you need to make money every single night. Even if you just are putting away enough for your bills and for your food and for your basic needs, that can make a massive difference because now you're not worried about that at the end of the month. So use responsible financial habits throughout the month so that there are not times where you're putting undue stress on yourself. Make sure that you're doing really good self-care, and I hope the rest of those tips help a lot. Also, as a shameless self-endorsement, there's a couple of webinars and programs that are coming up that are specifically about building your sales skills at the club. So if this is a trouble area, I'd love to be a part of your team. The first one is coming up on Monday. It's called 10 Sales Commandments, and we're going to go a lot into this mindset work and also give you a lot of practical tools that you can try out the club so that that you can start getting more in control and feeling more in the driver's seat in these interactions with customers. Again, I hope all of that helps, whether I see you there or not. I wish you all of the best success in your dancing and sales career. And yeah,